Coach Day, I know you won't give us a detailed, in-depth answer to this question about the availability of Jaxon Smith-Njigba for Saturday, but have you seen enough in practice this week to feel better about him than you did in recent weeks? Can you at least answer that part?
Yeah, I can answer that, and the answer is yes.
That's it.
That's all you got.
All right, well, that's better than nothing. Thank you, man.
All righty. All right, we'll go next to Austin Ward from Rivals. Austin, go ahead.
Hey, Ryan, we saw Sonny Styles get involved a little bit with heavier personnel against Wisconsin. I don't know if that will or will not happen in the second half of the season for you all, but just the fact that we're having that conversation seems significant for somebody who should still be a senior in high school. Yeah,
I totally agree. To think that, I think his family and I met last year. I think it was during the Michigan State week over at the Blackwell, and when they shared that they wanted to reclassify, I kind of took a deep breath and said, okay, I guess we're going to do this, because that's not easy to do. But to say he's overachieved would be an understatement. To think that he should be in high school, and the way he's approached his day-to-day has been impressive. He's earned the respect of everybody here. And like you said, to think that he's going to be on the field in the Big Ten as a reclassified freshman is really significant. So he's continuing to grow. He's doing well academically, and he'll continue to have opportunity to get better and play.
All righty, we'll go next to Jared Smalley from WCMH.
Hi, Ryan. Related to Jaxon here, a couple weeks ago at Michigan State, you had Mike Hall available, and he played a little bit. I think he took 7 snaps in the game and played very well. I'm wondering if you're able to have Jaxon available Saturday, because of the position he plays, the unique nature of it. Would you try to limit reps, or would you be comfortable? Or basically, if he's cleared to play, he's cleared to play, and he goes full speed. How do you go about managing those two things?
No, I think you bring up a good point. We try to take a lot of the gray out of it and just say either they're available or they're not available to play. But I think to your point, whether they're available to play for an entire game or not, like for instance with Mike, that's different. So those are the decisions that that we continue to for all of our guys look at and try to figure out how many plays is the right number of plays for a guy. So you hear people talk about a pitch count and things like that. And so we talk about those things all the time, and so that'll be the case for some guys, and not in particular to Jaxon, but that is part of the discussions going into game for some players.
All righty, we'll go next to Dan Hope from 11 Warriors.
Ryan, Miyan coming off an injury, TreVeyon getting banged up as well. Just how are those two guys doing? Are you expecting both of them to be available on Saturday?
Yeah, we are. It's great to have both of those guys back. I think that the bye week really helped both of them, and looking to have a full strength running back core.
All right, next up, Bill Landis from Rivals.
Hey Ryan, when it comes to play calling in the red zone, I know the ability to throw down there is important, but how important is just the willingness to do it down there and show defenses that even when you are in the shorter area of the field, you're still going to make them defend the entire width, and then I guess whatever yardage is there in terms of depth in the red zone too.
Yeah, I think that's important because they can't, first off, it's hard enough as it is when they have the 12th defender back there, and they make, that 12th defender makes the game tough, and it just tightens everything down. And so, we have to use every inch of that red area. And what we can't do is, just play it in a smaller area. We got to spread them out. We got to use the field vertically and horizontally, and having that balance, keeps them honest. And I think you've seen us have success in both of those areas, but, and it's not easy, playing in the red zone sometimes can be frustrating, and you just keep going, you keep working against it, working against the defense, you get better at it. And then after a while, you feel more comfortable in those areas. But we're always looking to strike a balance, always trying to figure out what the right, a play on the 2-yard line is a lot different than a play on the 10-yard line. So it's very specific. And then, even last week we found ourselves 3rd down. I think we're on the 3-yard line, middle of the field. I felt like I had gone through like about every scenario almost possible in the red zone. And then all of a sudden the ball was 3rd and 3, middle of the field on the 3-yard line. I'm like, I literally said to the guys on the headset, well, I haven't gone through this one in my head. We gotta figure this out real fast. And we did. And then guys, were able to, come up with the answer, and it was great. But always trying to figure out what those situations are late in the game, early in the game, 2-point plays, first down, second down, third down, all those types of things. So a lot of those different scenarios can come up, and that's how you win and lose games. So we spend a huge amount of time in the red zone.
All righty, we'll go next to Clay Hall from ABC6.
Hey, Coach, you talked about the sacrifice on your radio show there and giving more in the last 6 games. How do you think the players could give more? Do you advise them? And how would Ryan Day sacrifice or give more in the last half of the season?
No, I think you hit it right on the head. It's not just players, it's coaches, it's staff members, it's everybody. If we want to go reach our goals, what's going to make us different than everybody else in the country? And we have to be able to sacrifice things, and a lot of times that's time. That's, doing things that maybe, normal people do. We can't do that. You have to sacrifice a lot of things, sometimes for coaches, you got to sacrifice sleep early in the week. That's how it goes. You got to try to outwork people. You got to spend time. And I think that's important, but it's for everybody. And it's not just one thing across the board. Everybody kind of understands what do they need to sacrifice. Maybe it's video games. Maybe it's, I don't know what it might be, but I know for a fact, if we want to be, reach our goals, then we have to be different than everybody else.
All righty, we'll go next to Joey Kaufman from the Columbus Dispatch.
Ryan, to follow up a little bit about the whatever workload Jaxon would have whenever he does return, how does punt returning factor into that at all? Do you view that as a snapper receiver? Is it considered more intensive? Just how do you view his role at punt returning whenever he is able to return?
Yeah, we consider that like a normal play. And it's good to get back there and get your legs underneath you again and get some confidence catching the ball. And nowadays with a lot of the rugby punting, a lot of it's fair catching, but no, we'll consider that like a normal offensive play.
All righty, next up, Stephen Means, Cleveland.com.
Ryan, just to follow up on my call stuff. Mike didn't necessarily have a role at all last year. He was basically out of sight, out of mind. What did you see from him, whether it was in the spring or in fall camp, just this offseason that kind of pushed him up into this role and been able to have the impact he's had in year 2 after basically doing nothing last year?
I was very impressed with him last year, just the way he went about his business every day on the scout team, and when he had an opportunity to work and practice. And even when he got into games, I was impressed with Mike. I love the way he competed. I love his energy. I loved his toughness. He showed up almost every day, and he was out there grinding and getting better. And I think he's matured a lot in the last year, but he got stronger in the off season. He's very competitive. He's a guy you want on your team. I'm just telling you. And we're very fortunate to have Mike part of this program. I've always, felt very strong about him, watching him play basketball in high school and seeing him play. Felt like he was going to be a special player, and you're starting to see it.
Righty, we've got 2 left. First one to Nathan Baird, Cleveland.com.
Hey, Ryan, we saw Kourt Williams with a pretty elaborate contraption on his arm yesterday after practice. Just curious if you guys expect to have him down the stretch this season, and if what it means when a captain who would presumably be, you could count on him for leadership things in a game, just can't get on the field the way he's been able to this year.
Yeah. I mean, when you have a captain who's not able to get on the field, it's not great. The good thing for us is we have really good leadership on the team. So it hasn't been felt as much, but there was all the coaches and certainly the players who elected him as captain have a lot of respect for Kourt. I could probably get you a more concrete answer to that on Kourt. It's long-term prognosis, but it is a long-term injury, and not sure exactly when he'll be back.
All righty, and we'll wrap it up. Last question to Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Ryan, after the Michigan State game, you gave a lot of praise to Marvin Harrison Jr. Obviously, we know about his work ethic. He grew up with privilege. I mean, who his father was. He doesn't have to do this, to probably have a comfortable life. When did you kind of sense that he was as driven as he was, and how special is that?
When Marvin and Emeka first got here, there was just a different feel with those two guys. They were in the facility at all kinds of hours. You know, I'd come in early in the morning, I'd leave late at night, and they'd still be here. And I just knew there was something different there. I'd go up in the dining hall, they'd be here. They were hanging around the facility. And that was post-COVID when a lot of guys were kind of grabbing their meals and going. They wouldn't spend as much time in the Woody, more off a habit because, you know, they were used to kind of grabbing stuff and leaving, getting back to their apartment. But two guys who, to your point, you know, Emeka's, you know, one of the top recruited wide receivers in the country. Marvin, certainly, you know, his family situation, very highly recruited. They're both very talented, but when you combine skill and discipline with talent, that's when you get special players. And I think you see that with both of them. And I think they've both pushed each other. And I think you've heard maybe even Garrett Wilson in the past talk about how when they came in, they kind of changed the room even as freshmen. I think those were his words. And it says a lot for young guys who are that mature as freshmen, making that type of impact. And now you're seeing it on the field. They made an impact on special teams last year, and now it's happening on the field. So not surprised at all. Very talented, but very skilled and disciplined.
He told me that he's a perfectionist, which can work both ways. It can be good, it can be bad. How much have you tried to kind of tell him, you know, perfectionism is good within limits?
You know, I try to stay out of his way, quite honestly. I let him and Hart kind of work through all that because I just see somebody who cares a lot and who has set the pace for a lot of guys in the program of like, okay, that's kind of what it looks like. And, you know, how fortunate are we to have him part of our culture?
All right. Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah.
All righty, coach. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you after the game Saturday.
Thanks, guys.